Good morning, students. Today's class we about the standard safety measures. In the mid 80s, when the emergence of HIV, AIDS, and the overwhelming prevalence of hepatitis B virus infections in the healthcare workers, the guidelines were established in a joint effort between OSHA, that means Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the CD Center for Disease Control and Prevention to protect more people from exposure to blood-borne disease infections. The guidelines were quickly adopted and become known as the universal precautions. Finally, in 1996, the CDC issued a new set of guidelines and called them Standard Precautions. They were the best of both worlds and involved a two-tier approach. Standard precautions apply to all clients and patients attending healthcare facilities. Transmission-based precautions which apply only to the hospitalized patients. Standard safety measures are a set of infection control practices used to prevent transmission of disease that can be acquired by contact with blood, body fluids, non-intact skin including rashes and mucous membrane. These measures are to be used when provide care to all individuals whether or not they appear infectious or symptomatic. Hand hygiene, personal protective equipments, needle stick and sharp injury prevention, cleaning and disinfection, respiratory hygiene that is cough etiquette, waste disposal, safe injection practices. Standard safety measures are the minimum infection prevention practices that should be used in the care of all patients all of the time. These practices are designed to both protect the healthcare worker and to prevent the healthcare worker from spreading infections among the patients. This is the hierarchy of control. The first one is eliminate, that is physical removal of the hazards. Second is replace the hazards, isolate the people from the hazards, change of way the people, and plans. Lastly, protect the worker with a personal protective equipment. First one is people and hand hygiene. It is the people in the hospital rather than the physical environment which constitute the reservoir of infection. Nurses should follow hand washing techniques properly and they should also guide other staff students to follow the procedures of hand washing which include social hand washing followed by procedure hand washing. All steps of hand washing should be followed properly. Following the habit of procedural hand wash after touching each child will help to prevent cross infection. Always use liquid soap instead of solid soap for hand washing. The type of hand washing include routine hand wash in an antiseptic hand wash, antiseptic hand rub, and surgical asepsis. So these are the steps of hand washing. Second is aseptic techniques. Strict adherence to aseptic techniques in various invasive procedures, insertion and removal of catheters, surgical tubing, drainage tubings, and packs need strict not-touch technique even while they are done outside the operation theater or in nursing units. Third is segregation of contaminated instruments. There must be a system for keeping the contaminated pieces of linen, sputum cups, bedpans, urinals, and similar items separately to minimize the chance of getting mixed up with clean items. So this is the biomedical waste, the black bag, red bag, blue bag. Black bag for cytotoxic waste, red bag for infectious waste like plastic, then blue bag for infectious glass needles, means green for recyclable waste like office stationery, papers, infectious waste non-plastic for yellow bag, and puncture proof can be used for needles and rock ampules, all those things. Isolation. Fourth one is isolation policy. Availability of adequate number of trained nurses is crucial for prevention of nosocomial infection. Isolation facilities for patients with communicable disease and those who are vulnerable to infection. Such facilities must be made available in ICU, nurseries, burn unit, transplant unit, etc. Strict control on wearing mask, gown, and gloves must be exercised while attending to such patients. All articles taken for patients' use must be treated appropriately. Fifth one is masking and gowning and gloving. The gloves should be worn especially while dealing with HIV infected patients. As for any surgical procedure, lumbar puncture, gown and gloves should be worn by the person who conduct the procedure. Gown should be washed and autoclaved daily. Disinfecting the particles. Different kinds of disinfectants vary in their reaction to different kinds of microorganisms. Phenolic compounds are active against gram-negative organisms. Quaternary ammonium compounds against Staphylococcus, Streptococci, and Rhodophorus, and hydrochlorides have the broad spectrum of action. Selection of appropriate disinfectant for different purposes is important. The following are to be checked: appropriate choice, appropriate concentration, appropriate contact time, appropriate method of use. Seventh is sterilization practices. Efficient CSSD ensures supply of properly sterilized article to the hospital. Each sterilization must be monitored through the use of heat-sensitive tapes. All steam and ethylene oxide sterilizers should be checked at least once each week with suitable live spore preparation by the laboratory. Instruments which come in contact with mucous membrane but are disinfected rather than sterilized before use, as endoscopes and anesthesia equipment, may be bacteriologically sampled on the spot check basis to ensure adequacy of disinfection. Sterilization methods are divided of two types: the physical methods and chemical agent. Physical methods include moist heat autoclaves, tri-heat ovens, gamma radiation, filtration, plasma sterilization. Chemical agents include ethylene oxide, glutaride, high concentration. Disinfection methods are alcohols, aldehydes, halogens, phenols, surfactants, heavy metals, dyes, oxygen. The physical methods include boiling and pasteurization, ultraviolet radiation. Eighth is prevention of injuries. After using disposable needles, never recap them to potential risk of injury. They should be disposed of uncapped. Injection of the files and cotton swabs should be used for breaking the ampules. Scissors and blades should be handled with extreme care. Needles should never be left on the bed, table, chair, in a station, etc. Heavy-duty gloves should be used while handling and washing sharp instruments and glassware. Outpatient department. In outpatient department, separate arrangements for receiving and examining the patient suspected of having significant acute communicable condition should be made. Then dietary service. Storage of food articles in appropriate temperature. Refrigerator and deep freezers must be checked. Control of rodents and insects is a must to prevent contamination of stored food and supplies. Fruits and vegetables eaten raw must be thoroughly washed before consumption. 11th is handling the laboratory specimen. The specimen should be collected in a screw cap plastic disposable container without soiling laboratory forms. Never pipette blood or other body fluids with your mouth. Then handling blood spills. The spill should be covered with a cotton, newspaper, or other absorbent material. Pour 1% of hydrochloride solution or bleach solution over the spill. Wipe the spill soak area after 20 minutes. Discard the soil materials in a polythene linen waste bag that is red color. The soil floor should be cleaned with the detergents. Then 13, the housekeeping routines. Dry dusting and sweeping should be avoided. It is preferable to vacuum cleaner to suck the dust from the floor, walls and equipments. Wet mopping floors with soap and water containing 3% of phenol should be carried out at least thrice daily. Waxing of surface and use of oil in water for mopping may limit dissemination of microorganisms. The wall should be wiped or sprayed with 2% of bactericide in once in a week. The sink should be washed with 3% of phenol or 5% of Lysol at least once in a day. Then 14, the air hygiene in the operation theatre. Clogging of air filters of the AC system renders the ventilation in the operation theatres and such other areas infected. Air filters should be frequently cleaned. Periodical smoke studies should be carried out for air movement in the operation theatres and checking that AC system is achieving the desirable number of air changes per hour. Then termination of disinfection. Termination disinfection of isolation rooms must be carried out thoroughly in a principle as operating rooms before permitting the room for reuse. At such times, the staff must be the same precautions like cap, mask, gown, gloves used for the nursing in the such isolation rooms. 16. Developing a sense of awareness. Developing in all hospital workers a high sense of awareness and training and retraining the precautionary measures and prevention and protocol. Then 17th one, the prevention of occupational hazards. Cover All cuts and abrasions with waterproof dressings. Use gloves when handling instruments or equipments. Do not recap needles after use. Never manipulate any sharp that involves directing the point of needle towards any part of the body. Disposal sharps immediately. Refer to the needle stick injuries guideline. Healthcare workers with a skin condition must be seek advice of occupational health nurse. Advise junior staff and students to inform to seniors to report any sign of occupational exposure. 18th, management of patient care equipment. Do not reuse single patient's equipment to other patients. Patient's care equipment should be decontaminated as per the decontamination policy. Wear protective clothing when handling contaminated articles. Do not use single-use equipment again. Patient-related equipment such as pumps, drip stands, etc. must be kept clean. Waste disposal. Nurses should be have a thorough information and knowledge about the waste disposal, biomedical and general waste management. There should be a provision for foot operated bins adjusted to the each baby unit for the disposal of used materials and soil linens. Plastic bags should be kept as a hampers in the dustbins and they should be sealed before the removal. Dustbin should be mopped with 3% of phenol every day. To have a supervision overall segregation of waste appropriate color bags according to CDC recommendations, knowledge and practice regarding transportation of waste should be essential. Examples, policy guidelines by World Health Organization for prevention of infection. This is a standard policy for the World Health Organization for the prevention of infection. Thank you for listening.